Hello, and welcome to Character Class. Today, today I'd like to talk to you, give you 5 little tips on role playing, because this is a show all about role playing games. So I should probably get around to talking about how and stuff about role playing, just in general. So that's what we're talking about today. I got 5 tips for you, all about role playing in general and how to do it as a player and as a storyteller or dungeon master. Because if you're a storyteller or dungeon master, you're going to have to role play for NPCs, and you have a lot more NPCs usually than there are player characters. That's why they're called non-player characters. So it's always good to know some stuff about them. Now, number 5 is to have that character's history down somewhere. Doesn't have to be a lot, especially if you are a GM. If you're a player, the more is better. More is always good. But it's always good to have something down in your history, to know something of what your character's done from the beginning of their life up until the point of the campaign. That is a good area to go for history. Uh, if you can get that down on paper, as I said, it doesn't need to be long, but as long as you have a good idea as to what they've done with their life, important events that have happened, uh, that's good to have down because as people and even as characters, our pasts define us. They are what has led us up to this point. So knowing your character's past, you'll be able to know how your character could react to things. Um, Maybe they have a phobia or something from a childhood traumatic incident that will affect them in the future. These are good things to know, good things to work into your character, work into your actions and whatnot. Things like that, little details can make all the difference when it comes to role playing. Number 4 is your character's personality, which is different from your character's history. Your personality is how they're coming across to other people. Are they happy? Are they lackadaisical? Are they funny, erudite? Um, what are they like? How do they talk to people? How do they talk to different types of people? Do they flirt with women a lot, or men for that matter? Are they cold and standoffish? Are they often angry? Are they always looking for their next meal? Things like that. Little traits that will help flesh out your character. It's good to know that personality, to be able to slip yourself into it when you're playing your character. Uh, Always a good thing to do. Personality is a big thing. Uh, number three, number three is your character's voice. Now, I'm not saying you have to do voices with like accents and stuff, but if you want to do voices with accents, that is up to you. I tend to do voices and accents, raising and lowering my voice and taking on different accents and whatnot when I'm talking as different characters. As a storyteller, it's kind of how I portray things. Um, you don't have to, even if you're a dungeon master or storyteller. You don't have to, even if you're a player. It's not required, but having a specific manner of speaking can help you get into character so much. So that you just talk normally. It's always good to make it different than your normal speaking voice too. But when you're talking normally, then people around you can know that this isn't your character saying this. This is you. Then you take on the voice of your character. Um, for example, let's say you drop your voice and you make it a little gravelly, and that's your character's voice, and that's how he talks, so that when you're doing things, they know that it's you saying it. Uh, See, you do that, and sounds different than my normal tone of voice, how I speak, and people can easily differentiate and easily interact and get into the role because they know this is this character talking, not you as the player. It's helpful to maintain those distinctions, and a voice definitely helps maintain that. Uh, Number 2 is your character's goals. Now, whereas your history is your backstory, that's your past, and your character's personality and voice are kind of your present. Your goals are your character's future. What is your character trying to obtain? What does he want in life? Um, Figuring out what your character is striving for. Are they looking for treasure? Are they looking for a lost relative or a friend? Are they loyal to the king and want to see him succeed, etc., etc.? What are these? What are the goals that they have? And if you know what your character's goals are, this will again help you react in character. And reacting in character is a big deal because of what I'll get into in just a second. Because number one tip is to not treat it as a game. Now, I know it's a game, and I'm not saying, get completely into it and lose all distinction between reality and fantasy. No, 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 no. What I'm saying is there's a lot of players out there that like to treat role playing games as a game. They are coming into it, they have their character sheets made up, and they're looking at everything from a purely mechanical standpoint. That, these stats need to be raised. These are my spells that I need to have, or these are my powers that I need to have in order to do what I want to do. If I get in a fight, this is what I do. Da 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 da. Everything is regimented and set aside and very clinically looked at from a mechanical standpoint of the game. And this can detract away from role playing a lot. I'm not saying it will necessarily, but sometimes it can. If all you're looking at is the mechanical stuff, you're not looking at the role playing opportunities. And what can happen when what can happen is you can get into a situation where your character may not do something. Like, for example, in one vampire game I was playing a Malkavian who ended up being in a very untenable position of he was either going to die or he would have to sign a magical contract that would force him to uphold it to protect these bad guys and do everything he could to protect these bad guys. And because he was the character that he was, because he had such a moralistic base to him, and that these bad guys were everything he hated in the world, he died because he wouldn't sign this contract. And while I knew as a player that more than likely, if I signed that contract, I would have a way to get out of it, but that's a mechanical viewpoint. From a role-playing viewpoint, from my character's viewpoint, if he signed that contract, he didn't know there was any way out of it, and it went against everything he believed in. So my character didn't do it. And that is what I'm talking about not treating it as a game. If you treat it as a story, if you treat it as your character is you in a way, then there's wonderful moments for role-playing like that. And that is what I'm talking about in terms of not treating it as a game. So those are my tips for role-playing. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please give that like button a tap. Give that subscribe button a tap as well if you haven't already, so you can be kept apprised of when I do new videos. And throw a comment in the comments section. What are your tips for role-playing and whatnot as a dungeon master or a player? Throw those comments in the comment section. I'd love to get a discussion going with people. And until next time, my friends, you all take care, and I'll see you around.